beneath the cold waves of the North Atlantic, where light rarely reaches, a silent world has been sleeping for more than a century. There, the Titanic, the legendary ship once hailed as unsinkable, now only a giant iron skeleton gnawed by time. In the deep darkness, rotten wood, warped steel frames, and a porcelain bowl covered in sea dust still tell the story of pride. Tragedy and pain of more than 1,500 souls forever stuck in the ocean. On the night of April 14th, 1912, the North Atlantic sky was strangely calm. The sea was as smooth as glass, without a ripple, nor any sign of impending tragedy. The Titanic, the pride of the industrial age, glided through the cold darkness, absolutely trusting in its steel hull and watertight compartments that were considered impregnable. But fate took a different turn in just a few short seconds. As the clock struck 11:40 p.m., a warning bell rang from the watchtower. Iceberg ahead. The ship swung sharply, but it was too late. The giant iceberg tore through the starboard side, opening 6 water compartments, enough to turn the dream of immortality into a nightmare. Water rushed in like the invisible hands of the ocean. Dragging Titanic down into darkness. The lights faded, the music stopped, and in the cold sea of -2 degrees Celsius, thousands of lives drifted in silence. All of this happened in less than 3 hours, enough time for the legendary ship to disappear from the water forever. After more than 7 decades lying in the dark, in 1985, an expedition team led by Robert Ballard found the Titanic wreckage for the first time at a depth of more than 3,800 meters at the bottom of the North Atlantic. In the dim light of the diving lights, the ship appeared like a giant ghost, covered in rust and metallic coral, a sleeping city in the ocean. What was found was not just steel and brass. But memories still alive with human breath. Once, the middle deck glowed with laughter and music. The rustle of silk dresses, the murmur of conversation, the gentle clinking of silver against porcelain. Now it lies entombed in stillness. The walls that once echoed with joy are veiled in silt. Their stories softened by the slow breath of the sea. The air that once shimmered with warmth has been replaced by the eternal chill of the abyss. In a third-class dining hall where hope and hunger once met across humble tables, the sea has reclaimed everything. Chairs lie toppled, tables are wrapped in rust, and cutlery glimmers faintly beneath the dim light of the submersible. It is as if time paused in mid-meal and then forgot to begin again. Every grain of sediment that settles upon the floor is a new layer of memory, a new century of silence. The laughter that once filled this room now lives only in the movement of drifting sand. Deeper still, the Turkish bath lies half buried in its cathedral of decay. The mosaic tiles, once intricate and luminous, are cracked and fading beneath the sea's touch. Bronze fixtures have turned to shadow, swallowed by corrosion and coral. Sea anemones bloom from the faucets. Algae trail like curtains over the walls. The pool, once alive with glimmering water and the hum of electric light, now sleeps in dry stillness, an empty chamber where even sound seems reluctant to enter. Here, time has shed its disguise. Lockers gape open, their contents dissolved into nothingness. A mirror, fractured but defiant, still hangs upon the wall, reflecting nothing but drifting silt and the ghost of movement. The railings, ladders, and fractured tiles form a quiet mausoleum, untouched by human hand, yet sculpted daily by the sea. The Titanic no longer sails, yet it endures, not in triumph, but in grace. Beneath 6 kilometers of water, it has become a living memory, a poem written in rust and silence. The sea has not destroyed it. It has preserved it, holding its story gently in the folds of darkness. Down here, time does not move forward, it simply listens. The airless silence wraps around this place like a memory too heavy to fade, a stillness so complete it feels alive. The corridor stretches endlessly into blackness, its walls cloaked in rust and shadow. Doors line the passage, their frames warped by salt and time, leading not to rooms but to echoes. Shreds of curtains drift lazily in the unmoving current, each thread waving like a slow heartbeat. Dust and silt swirl in suspended stillness, glowing faintly in the light of a passing submersible, like the frozen breath of souls that never left. Every faint creak of metal, every distant groan of the hull feels like the Titanic whispering to itself, remembering what it once was. Once, this was a place of rhythm and motion, the heartbeat of the ship, filled with the hiss of steam, the chatter of workers, and the clatter of dishes. Now nothing stirs. The machines lie rusted and skeletal beneath the weight of the deep, their pipes twisted into shapes no human hand designed. A single droplet of water drips from a fractured beam above, echoing through the hollow chamber, as though the ship itself still weeps, still leaks fragments of its past into the sea. Where meals once sustained hundreds, now only silence dines. Pots and pans lie scattered across the floor, half buried in coral-encrusted decay. They remain exactly where they fell, untouched for more than a century. Each one is a frozen gesture, a silent witness to the ship's final heartbeat. The pantry, once filled with the smell of bread, the clatter of knives, and the warmth of human hands, is now a graveyard of glass and wood. The shells are splintered, their edges softened by the ocean's slow caress. Where once there were aromas and laughter, there is now only the taste of rust and salt. Even the faint outlines of crates rest motionless beneath a century of drifting sediment. In a small adjoining room, once bright with voices and music, a table lies cracked in half. The chairs are bent, their legs buried in dust. The air feels thick, though there's no air at all, heavy with time, with the echo of things unfinished. A single playing card still clings to the table's edge. Its ink faded, but its shape clear, a fragile relic of joy trapped in the deep. It waits, as if the next hand might still be played. And there, deeper still, lies the ship's bath, once a sanctuary of cleansing and calm. Porcelain tubs, now fractured and rimmed with coral, stand like empty coffins beneath the cold glow of the abyss. Their white surfaces are veined with cracks, streaked with rust, and crowned with barnacles. Marine life drapes across them like funerary cloth, soft and patient. From the mouths of shattered pipes, faint streams of bubbles rise toward the ceiling, the ship's final breath, escaping slowly into eternity. Steam once filled this chamber. Now only darkness remains, thick, eternal, and listening. Now, only the ocean breathes here, slow and eternal. Thick clouds of marine dust drift through the beam of the ROV, turning the water into a trembling haze of light and shadow. Valves stand frozen mid-turn, their metal faces sealed by rust, and gauges stare blankly, their needles locked forever in silence. Time does not move in this place. It lingers, suspended between weight and memory. The Titanic storage rooms hold not possessions, but fragments of humanity. Collapsed trunks, their leather skins peeling like ancient bark, lie half buried beneath sand. Inside, fabrics long dissolve into threads, still cling to the shape of what once was a glove, a shoe, a dream. Brass locks, eroded but unbroken, glint faintly as the ROV passes, like the last remnants of names no one remembers. This is where the personal became eternal, where loss found form in iron and salt. Beneath the crushing stillness of 6 kilometers of sea, the ship guards what remains of its people, not in coffins, but in memories. Here sleep the men who once kept the Titanic alive, stokers, engineers, men who breathed fire into her engines. Their quarters lie shattered, the bunks collapsed into a tangle of metal ribs. Rust crawls across the walls like a living thing. Boots rest where they were left. A single wrench lies untouched beside a nameless plate, its owner long vanished, its purpose long complete. Yet in this silence, their duty endures, preserved in a tomb not of stone, but of pressure and darkness. The grand spiral staircase, once gleaming with brass and polished oak, now curls downward into endless shadow. Coral threads along its handrails, delicate yet unyielding, wrapping the iron spine like ivy reclaiming a forgotten temple. When the ROV's light passes across its steps, motes of silt rise and fall like ghosts disturbed. For a moment, it feels as though someone still walks there, hurried footsteps echoing through the bones of the ship. Each glimmer of dust is a heartbeat, faint but stubborn, pulsing through the ruin. The ship's core, once alive with fire and electricity, now lies dormant, its heart long extinguished. Gauges are frozen at zero, wires frayed into silence, panels collapsed under the weight of time. And yet, in the deep, in the dark, a flicker appears. A shimmer, faint and fleeting, dances across a piece of glass. Perhaps it is reflection, perhaps memory. Perhaps the ghost of electricity that once powered the Titanic's great pulse, sparking briefly one last time. A reminder that even in ruin, life leaves behind its echo.